Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Bojack Horseman, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
And Andy Potter.
Hey.
Alex, Andy and I are here to kick off our Season 4 Bojack coverage. Getting into, on this podcast, the first episode of Season 4 of Bojack, See Mr. Peanutbutter Run. We will be covering all of Season 4 of Bojack. This is new to our coverage slate here at the Overly Animated Podcast. If you're new to us, find us at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated on iTunes or your podcast app. You can search for Overly Animated Bojack Horseman, and you'll find our Bojack-specific iTunes feed. We have a shiny new logo for that and everything. So you can subscribe to that just to get our Bojack podcast. We will be going through this entire Season 4 of Bojack, just released today on Netflix. 1 or 2 episodes at a time over the course of, a week, 2 weeks, who knows, 3 weeks. But yeah, we'll be taking you all the way through in various combinations of hosts and co-hosts, including some people not on this one, through all of Season 4. So definitely, subscribe to, us, for all your Bojack podcasting needs, for Season 4. We're very excited to get into Bojack. We have a bunch of people who were very happy to add this to our coverage slate. We had two previous Bojack podcasts, which you can check out leading up to the season. But today we're talking See Mr. Peanutbutter Run, just the first episode. And on all these podcasts, you will not find spoilers for the future episodes of the season. So you can either watch the whole thing, then listen to us talk about an episode, and you can remember it, or you can watch along with us, and you will not be spoiled for future episodes. So yeah, spoilers for episode 1, but not beyond on this one. Let's get right into See Mr. Peanutbutter Run, the season premiere here. Alex, what do you think of this season premiere?
I think it was fun. It's a nice introduction. It was very straightforward, compared to what we were speculating before when the trailer had come out. We were already speculating, well, this will center around Mr. Peanutbutter's campaign, at least in the first half of the season, and we're digging right into that. It's still a lot more wordplay than I remember from previous seasons, so that was a nice surprise here. But and also some interesting work on Diane and how she's coping with it as the campaign is just getting started. And yeah, just nice to check in with all the side characters, even if Bojack is nowhere to be seen in this first episode.
I don't know about side characters. Our other 4 main crew.
Yeah. Our recurring cast.
Yeah, the 4 of them besides Bojack. Yeah, Andy, what do you think of this premiere?
Oh, I was really excited. I don't know. When I think about Bojack, I only think about the depressing stuff, and I just kind of forget that it's really funny too. And so when I watched this, I got up at 7 a.m. to watch this before work, and I just turned it on. And I'm expecting to be sad. I'm like, oh, this is just really funny. This is gonna be, and this episode was just the perfect thing to watch before work, and it was just, I liked it a lot. There were a lot of not one-liners, but like Alex said, there was a lot of wordplay. And I really liked that kind of stuff, especially the governor's name. I love the governor's name. Woodchuck, what was his last name? Woodchuck, Berkowitz. And then somebody called him Wood Charles. That was my favorite.
His wife calls him Wood Charles, yeah.
I loved that. I don't know. I just like this. It was a very fun episode with not a ton of stuff going on, but there's a lot of little things hinting at stuff in the future that I'm interested in seeing where it goes.
Right. I think it mainly serves just as an introduction. It doesn't have to be stellar, especially now that we know what kind of quality to expect out of Bojack over the course of a season. This is a nice way to ease us into the current atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and about what Andy said with the depressing thing, whenever you pull up a Bojack YouTube video, everyone in the comments is like, "Oh, I can't wait to be super depressed from season 4." That's the only comment you'll find. So this
is the only one.
Yeah, I've already begun seeing the backlash on why do you guys always make it seem like it's just a sad show?
Because that's the interesting stuff to talk about, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's that's definitely one of the most defining aspects of Bojack is the existential dread. But our Mr. Existential Dread character is not here right now, so that's kind of missing from this premiere. Yeah, I thought this was an okay start to the season. I wasn't really thrilled with this episode. There's a lot of funny lines, and as I went back outlining through it, watching it a second time, there's solid just quick funny like lines or gags. That's what I think we all expect from this show. The show's like always very smart and funny. But I do think this is an episode that's kind of emblematic of BoJack at its worst. Like I think that the show doesn't have bad episodes. It's not. I mean, it has maybe potentially mediocre episodes. It's not. This episode isn't bad, but there's like some funny stuff in here, but it's all kind of lost within the plot stuff that they just randomly shove out of nowhere into this episode, that I don't care about almost anything that happens here in this episode, any sort of plot thing. And it just kind of loses all of the funny momentum that they could have had by maybe just caring less about the random governor run or literally anything else that's happening here. Like, I think BoJack at its worst is just a good sitcom. And I think that's what this episode is. It's just like, this is a good sitcom episode, but I expect more from the show. I expect, deeper, characterization, deeper narrative, funnier stuff. Obviously we're going to build up to that. I have no doubt that it's coming later this season. But if we're just evaluating this episode, I'm not thrilled with it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It really does feel like the Mr. Peanut Butter stuff is kind of like a classic B plot from an episode, but it's the A plot, and it does feel like I know where this is going. I know how this is going to like turn out, and it does feel like it drags in places for me as well.
Yeah, it's like the governor stuff. I mean, it really just comes out of nowhere, and it is kind of amusing to see it spiral like this, and we kind of get into very thin satire, but for the most part, not really. It didn't really engage me. The Todd stuff, as usual, did not really engage me, although I do think Todd has the most interesting element of the story right now, and yet somehow he still has a nonsense plotline that doesn't matter. Oh my god, it's so frustrating. Todd had like the most interesting by far ever happen to that character. And there's like 20 seconds of really good stuff there, in the diner. But then he's just like eating kettle corn, whatever. Diane doesn't really even do anything. She's just kind of the framing device for the episode. I think her calls to BoJack it's a nice narrative element there, but, it doesn't really do anything. And then the Princess Carolyn stuff, with Ralph, who I didn't even remember his name, but I definitely don't care about Ralph.
Wow.
Aw, but Ralph is so sweet.
He's sweet, but I absolutely don't care about him. So I didn't find that really engaging either. So out of those four, those are our four characters who each have distinctive plot lines in this episode. Alex, which one engaged you the most?
I think Mr. Peanut Butter, just because like it is the main plot, and I think the one that has the most potential to dig into other things. You're right that right now, like in the first episode, it felt very superficial. Just the whole like, I don't want to take a stand right now. I'm just interested in being likable. Like basically his personality throughout the entire show, just applying it to politics and the current political climate. But yeah, I feel like that has the most potential. I was also interested by Diane's character work just because it feels like a setup for stuff in the future, like digging deeper into how she's been affected by BoJack. Princess Carolyn and Ralph, while I like them as a couple, like in this episode, there wasn't much there to really enjoy. And same with Todd, just standard Todd shenanigans that don't really go anywhere. But yeah, Peanut Butter and Diane, those two I connected with in this episode.
Okay, nice. Andy, what about you?
I connected with Diane, but not necessarily Mr. Peanut Butter. Like, Diane, I definitely have an understanding of how she's feeling. I'm in a long-term... Well, my partner's not running for governor, but I am in a long-term relationship.
Really? No?
No, she's not. Or they're not.
We would get massive ratings if you announced it here.
Yeah, no, totally. But but we're in a long-term relationship, and so, but we're doing it because we want to progress our careers, our education, and it's like I want to support them, but I also just want to be with them, and it's a hard battle where you just want to be with your partner, but you also want them to have what they want to have, and you can see that struggle in Diane. She's a little more on the she just wants what she wants side, and it's kind of depressing sometimes seeing that she really just wants things to stay the same without really supporting Mr. Peanut Butter. But I can see where she's coming from, where it's like she really doesn't want this. She really does not want to be involved in this crazy, zany thing that Mr. Peanut Butter is doing. And I'm worried where that in considering the trailer and what we saw from the trailer with them fighting, I'm worried where this will lead.
Yeah, I think you've basically just described Diane on the show the past 2 seasons.
Well, yeah, but this was like an encapsulation of Diane.
Yeah.
And like and also again, I'm coming back to the series with fresh eyes, and I'm remembering how I feel about things.
Yeah,
right now.
It's been a while, yeah, and I was being kind of acerbic there, but I do think this is absolutely not new ground for Diane with Mr. Peanut Butter.
No,
this is
no. But I've always connected with her.
Okay,
a little bit.
yeah, so continued in that realm, yeah. Out of the 4, yeah, I don't even know. I to be honest, the Todd stuff, like had the most elements of engaging me, I guess, like the asexual.
Well, it's
stuff.
just the diner scene, right?
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, the asexual talk. That's by far the most engaging stuff. And it's that, and I guess the Princess Caroline plot, because there's a lot of funny lines in that one. I think they move really fast through her and Ralph and everything that's happening there. But there's just a lot of funny stuff surrounding Princess Caroline as usual.
Yeah.
How about a funniest line from the episode, or maybe like a gag? What was like the funniest moment, if you can think of that off the top of your head, Alex?
Well, the drought plan stuck out to me for some reason.
Okay.
It's the fact that it's like the acronym stuff. I don't know that it was a lower joke, but that one's the first one that comes to mind for some reason.
Yeah. That was a notable gag from here. Andy, what pops in your head?
Oh, it's so tough. There's so many funny wordplay things. I think I'd go with the thing with Mr. Peanut Butter, and he was talking about how he gets nervous during like thunderstorms and 4th of July, and they're having a bath at the same time, and there was a stranger in the yard all at the same time, and he was like super nervous. And it's like I forget all these like animal jokes they make because they just otherwise ignore that everyone's an animal. Besides like these random jokes they make every now and then. And they always land really well for me. Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be a lot of people's funniest line from the episode. I will say, as someone who caught up on the series recently, watched it all pretty recently, they do this constantly with Mr. Peanut Butter's character.
They do.
It's a little frustrating to me that they just do I would say his number one character trait is just dog jokes.
Yeah. But by the way, also they were really pushing hard the catchphrase of "doggy doggy what now?" He hasn't said that in any of the.
I think it's funny.
It comes out of no.
Yeah, I think
that was funny too.
Just randomly giving him a new phrase. Yeah, I think he only says it twice. He says it once in the beginning, and then Diane.
Yeah,
then
Diane. Yeah, Diane's is funniest, I think.
Oh, there's also in the diner scene when she says, "Todd, you're great," and he's like, "What a way to end the sentence."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I found that really funny when Todd was just like, "Oh, that's the end of the sentence." That's
like,
great.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
That's
a lot.
like classic Bojack dialogue. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. That's a good one too. I have a lot here, so let's.
I've read.
Yeah, we got we had a few celebrity references. We can talk about those. We had Blake Lively calling Princess Caroline mommy. That came up a few times.
Yep.
That was interesting. We had Princess Caroline saying Jennifer Gardner's in the lobby, she'll sign on for anything.
Yes, that one was my favorite
that
celebrity mentions.
Yeah, I thought that was unnecessary. I don't know. Why are we going after Jennifer Gardner? But
shout out to the Capital One commercials.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. I think it's what most people said now. This isn't necessarily Celebrarians, but a big episode for Orion Seacrest type. Apparently he has his own talk show. I don't think we knew that.
I thought he did it a previous season,
Maybe.
but no, I think he had one in like a flashback.
He has
he's the morning show.
Morning
yeah.
shows.
I forget what they call her, his co-host. Yeah, but then he has like a late night talk show, and also he's with on the MSNBC broadcast at the end.
But just walks off.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm too cold. I'm done with this." Yeah,
it's too cold. I can't do it.
Yeah. I guess on the topic of the celebrities, we had this is a very minor moment for the episode. This doesn't deserve to be mentioned this early, but character actress Margot Martindale lost at sea in the crawl on one of the television broadcasts. That's our update on her at the end of last season.
But I knew you were going to mention it, Dylan, because you love her.
Oh yeah,
I knew you were going to mention it this early.
She's incredible. Yeah. We have I'll go through the outline anyway. We have a bunch of minor characters that we bring up in this episode. I guess everyone returning except for like the governor's a new one. We have Katrina back, one of Mr. Peanut Butter's ex-wives. Alex, how do you think that she was used in this episode?
Standard, just an annoying, a very hard ass lady who is pulling all the strings behind the campaign. And there wasn't much depth there to her in this character. In this episode, besides her just being annoyed at everything Peanutbutter says and does.
Yeah. Any thoughts on her, Andy?
I didn't like this part of the Mr. Peanutbutter plot. I think of all the contrived things that Bojack Horseman has done, this is the most contrived, and that's very impressive.
Getting his ex-wife involved, you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
She's just like a narrative device, yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's adding this more. It's like adding more stress to Diane's life. Like, there's so many ways to add stress to Diane's life. We don't need to add this ex-wife character we've never seen before.
I think she was in previous.
She might have been like
in a
flashback.
flashback.
I mean, she hasn't like a major part like this.
Yeah, she didn't. I don't think she added anything here. I agree. But maybe she'll be a recurring character this season with the campaign.
I expect her to be, and I don't like that.
Well, you give her a chance. Come on.
I didn't like her using this first episode, and I'm not excited to see her later. Maybe I'll be.
No, I think that's the problem of this being an introduction episode. The fact that it like bounces around to everyone, so in the end, nobody really shows any depth of any of the characters here.
Yeah, none of these side characters stand out to me.
And it makes it unclear which things are going to stick out longer because we're just seeing quick clips of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have the two best lines from the episode. So I know.
Okay, you found them.
I found them. So let me give you the two best ones. This is probably the best one. So this is from the MSNBC anchor. For the sake of fairness, we brought in two experts with opposite opinions who will now have equal time to just say those opinions because that's what news is. Very reminiscent for me of the, but has the concept of women having a choice gone too far? We've brought in three white men in bow ties. Yeah. That's like the sequel to that line. So it
really is.
That was one of the best lines in the show for me. This one wasn't as good, but it's like very on the nose take on, this is,
yeah, that's how I felt. It was a bit too on the nose and felt like lesser version of the other line.
The other one was also very on the nose, but I guess for some reason it just worked a lot better. This, I guess,
it
came out of nowhere.
Yeah. This could have applied to any single thing.
I agree, and it's like a good, still like a good take on cable news and stuff like this, but you know, it's been treaded upon in other.
But it was funny when it panned out, and it was like a skier and like this dressed up woman. Like I was like, "What? These are their two special. They're two experts. Someone who skis and someone who knows politics." It was. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah. Here's the.
I did like the graphic to ski or not to ski.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the funnier part.
And then he said, that was the line that Shakespeare said. Like, like not even. Yeah. That was interesting. Okay. Here's the other one, and another. Like political satire one, which is I think this is so let's bring up let's say Trump here and bring up Trump because our Mr. Peanutbutter governor line governor plot is in this episode very vaguely like Trump referenced satire.
I think it's less than vague by the end at the rally at the ski lodge.
So the rally when it's like when it just becomes a Trump rally, right? Like that's like the most on the nose. But I felt like that was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing here. But I like this line from earlier in the episode, which I think was maybe more, and it wasn't really subtle, but it worked better for me as a Trump satire. Mr. Peanutbutter says, but for some reason, even though I have zero qualifications, I honestly thought I would have made an even better governor. Yeah, like I think it's like, yeah, it's governor, not president. Yeah, it's, Mr. Peanutbutter. And part of his like rally speech at the end is him just again making like dog puns. So we're not like going all in on this is just the Trump references, but, definitely, I think that we were doing this. Alex, what do you think of the show going in this direction right now?
I'd say, it was very superficial because I feel if Trump hadn't happened in the real world, this storyline still would have worked because you've already had celebrities running for governor in the past. Like even in California, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you've also had Jesse Ventura up in Minnesota. So and the whole idea of a celebrity just appealing to the public by like using their acting skills to say they're one of the people, like that's always been a thing in politics. And here, I personally didn't really see something specific to Trump. Like the rally atmosphere, you could say, is specific to him. But otherwise, I felt like the satire was very thin to the point where it could just as easily be related to someone besides Trump.
Yeah, I think if you asked the writers, they would say that as much as the Trump satire, this is just based on Schwarzenegger. I think that's what they're going for. Like it's the parallels are more direct. But given the current state of everything, I think they probably had that in mind already, and then they tuned it based off of current events.
Yeah, because like Trump started happening, I would think during the writing of the season, so you could just as easily adapt it.
They've said so during interviews that they saw this happening in real life while they were writing, and they definitely incorporated things into the plot they already had.
Yeah, I've read in a few interviews. I got the impression that they didn't specifically do this plot line because of Trump, but it's like just inevitable that they have to incorporate some elements of it. I think as the season goes on, I assume if this is a recurring thing, I haven't seen future episodes, but I think it will be less. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the most blatant Trumpiness stuff in the show, like the end of this episode. I'd be surprised if we dove even deeper into this.
I'm of opposite. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andy.
I'm of opposite opinion because I haven't seen the rest of it, and I'm just like, it feels like we'll get at least one more rally scene, but maybe that's it. I guess just one more crazy rally that's similar to that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it would be an interesting way to go that, like, if you really want to push on the Trump thing, making peanut butter like very unliked by a portion of the population, because this episode particularly focused on his desire to be liked by everyone. So if you're going to go down the Trump path and like eventually go into like political divisiveness, that would be a very interesting way to take peanut butter's character and make it more interesting that way.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion on the season 4 preview podcast where we talked about how it could go, and
there are different avenues you can take.
Yeah, there are different avenues you can take to really emphasize this. It's so hard. Like, I don't know how much. Actually, I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to get into it right now. I don't want to get into this right now.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm satisfied with the depth we got into there on that. I feel like it doesn't go that much beyond that in the episode. So let's talk about these other minor characters that are throughout this episode. New ones. We talked about Woodchuck Berkowitz. Obviously solid name there. I thought he was good, although he's also functions as mostly a plot device for me.
Yeah.
Right. Although I think his deadpan works perfectly in this episode. It makes his lines more funnier, especially like when he's reacting like, I can't believe we're actually doing this, but we're going to do a ski race.
Yeah.
I went to Dartmouth and was good at skiing. I'm still surprised that this is relevant to my running. So, like, just his deadpan works very well with this episode, and I like the character so far.
Yeah, they Andre Brower, they utilize him really well as deadpan in these lines. I agree. He could be I think if he keeps recurring, that could be a standout side character. In this episode, I thought he's fine, but his drought plan also is very good. Maybe even more shined, I feel like, was his wife, Madeline, with, I haven't confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure voiced by Alison Brie. And,
it's the Vincent Adult Man voice.
Right, that's her Vincent Adult Man voice. And, calling him, what, Charles? Like, I found that very good. Any other Madeline? Andy, what do you think of Madeline?
Oh, I just love her because she has Vincent Adult Man's voice, but I also really did like the Wood Charles thing. It both makes sense. It makes absolutely no sense, which is what every single wordplay joke in this show is, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also have Professor Thistlethorpe, the caterpillar professor.
That was just a weird tangent to take.
What?
Like, you could have removed that entire segment from the episode. It would have changed the thing.
They just decided to do I don't even know what to call it, parody, right? Like, going to school training, like, sensei type parody thing.
But it was like 30 seconds of content. It made no sense.
It felt longer. It felt like 2 minutes.
It was longer than 30 seconds, yeah. I don't know why we needed to do that, but, at least it was, like, kind of focused parody. Like, I don't know. I almost prefer that to...
Yeah, it didn't cut away, at least.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
The book of poetry was by Walt Whitmantis.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. I'm a little tired of making jokes about, not that, but in terms of him going to Cocoon at the end. Like, I'm a little tired of making jokes about them being animals. I don't know.
I think it works best when they're background gags.
Yeah, like, why is this like the whole joke of the scene is like he like, okay, he's a caterpillar, but you could have made him anything, so you just made him a caterpillar so you could do this joke. Like, it doesn't seem that smart to me.
Yeah, I'm okay with like the wordplay things. I like find the one-off lines, like Mr. Peanut Butter saying dog jokes or some other type of animal type jokes, like cat jokes and stuff. But this just felt it felt way too long, just him going to a cocoon for no reason other than to just be like, I'm in a cocoon, it's over. It served no purpose at all, it seemed like.
Yeah. This isn't a character, but we even talked about one of the most prominent sequences. This episode is kind of jam-packed. We had that parody sequence. We also have Katrina's amendment rider sequence.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name of this.
Schoolhouse
Rock, right? Like our Schoolhouse Rock parody. What did you think of this, Alex?
I loved it. And I love just the wacky stuff they throw in. Like, I want a bridge to Hawaii. Well, sure.
That was my favorite.
Like, only in this universe could that be viable, and sure enough, it works.
Apparently, it gets built in the span of the episode. Yeah,
it's already built. Apparently,
yeah,
that's what
she says because that's a thing you can do now. Yeah. I mean, as an animation podcast, we like the reference to the Schoolhouse Rock. But
and also just like in the interviews up to the season, they were talking about how they wanted to experiment more with the animation style, and like this is the first chance we see like them going into that old style, and it was fun, and just like them going around a little circle, like pencil drawings. It was nice.
Yeah, give me this over the Thistlethorpe sequence later, but it's very random. I think. What do you think?
Random,
Andy?
but it was related to the plot at least.
Yeah, that's true. It did serve a plot purpose. Andy, what do you think of this?
I loved it. I forget every single amendment they put on there, but I know each one got progressively weirder and weirder. But the bridge to Hawaii overshadows all of them because they keep referencing it like that's a thing now, and it costs our state like billions of dollars for no reason. Yeah, and I really liked that this was all one amendment somehow. Like this was all just one thing, and I don't know how they got everyone. I don't know how they got everyone to agree to this stupid fucking bill.
Yeah, the iHeart. We can curse on this. Yeah,
yeah, I forgot what it almost came out, and I forgot if we could.
Yeah,
Gee willikers.
Wow, that's some strong language there, Alex. The iHeart California amendment. Yeah.
Probably everybody signed just because of the name. Yeah. They probably didn't even read the bill.
Again, pretty surface level political satire. Like, okay, what do you
mean it's not true?
Bloated amendments. Like, wow, hot take here, guys. But I do like putting in the context of Schoolhouse Rock. I think they could have this. I feel like this could have been funnier. But I did enjoy its presence in the episode. We also have, we talked about, Ralph a little bit. So I'm not in on Ralph. Alex, what do you think of Ralph?
Well, I think he's nice, and, he seems to be very understanding of Princess Carolyn, and, for now, like, her still being hesitant to reveal things at once, especially at the end there. Like, he took the news very, what's the word? Well, just very calmly, like more than you would expect from, like, say, a new boyfriend. So all in all, like right now, he's just very bland, I guess. But like it works just knowing Princess Carolyn, all the trouble she's gone through, the fact that she has a nice relationship going. But I get in the season, I guess we're just interested to see how that lasts, especially now that we have the whole baby thing thrown in, like they want to actually try having one. And we know Princess Carolyn wanting a family has been a theme going on for the past 2 seasons or so. So that'll be interesting. But in this particular episode, it's not much, but it's enough to get me interested in their plotline going forward.
Andy, thoughts on Ralph?
I'm interested in the plotline in relation to Princess Carolyn, but I agree with Alex that he's a pretty boring character. And I think that's kind of the point, because we've seen Princess Carolyn have trouble with boyfriends in general, and I'm worried that she's going to feel like, because there's this idea that I'm settling for some people, and I'm worried Princess Carolyn's going to have that at some point in this season. And I'm concerned because I want her to be happy, and I want her to realize that happiness is not this crazy adventure. It's like, or just for her at least, because she's been having some weird adventures that are really unfortunate for her. And I think some stability is good for her, and I hope she realizes that.
Do we like the greeting cards he sends her?
Oh my God, they're all amazing. But
they're
the
cute.
Miss Carolyn one?
Yeah, he said, I had a line for that. Life isn't fairage. Yeah. So this miscarriage thing, there's the build up. The problem is this episode's so fast paced. It's like, okay, she's sick, but I barely even processed that. And then it's like, I'm going to the doctor or something. But yeah, this
episode is just trying to do too many things at once.
Yeah.
Because of its fact as an introduction.
Yeah. That's a big moment for her, and it wasn't given any breathing room here.
I feel like it should have had like a whole, almost a B plot where we talk about it, but we just didn't at all.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is like the C plot of the episode, maybe even the D plot.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Are we calling Todd the B plot?
I'd call Todd the B plot. Yeah. Oh, at the Diane C probably. But that's Diane definitely is less. Diane intersects with the anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm interested in seeing where we go with this. I worry that moving in and having children and stuff might hinder what we've done with Princess Caroline. I don't know. There's some build up, like Alex mentioned, to this her wanting a family thing. I get
it's been from like the first episode of the show. She's wanted kids from her like the whole time she's been on the show.
Yeah,
I think this is a new thing.
Yeah, definitely not a new thing. I'm open to see where we go with it. At least in this episode, could use some more space. Let's talk Todd. Because kettle corn, right? That's the highlight here.
Yeah. The throne. Okay. Do both of you not like Todd? Because I'm fine with Todd, and you guys seem to both really dislike him.
I'm fine with Todd in small doses. When he gets a B plot dedicated to him, no. But I'm fine with him in interaction with other characters.
If he's a minor character, that's fine. But
yeah, but like here they isolate him. Like when he's with Emily, I like him because he has conversation and like things can happen. But when he's isolated, when he's doing these drone things and stealing popcorn, just popping up out of nowhere in the race, it doesn't add much. It's slapstick, which is fine. But Bojack has much better styles of humor when surrounded by Todd. So yeah, I'm fine with him, but in doses.
I guess I just like him a little bit more than you guys. I mean, I'm not saying I defend this specific plot because I don't think it was that strong, but I mean, I like Todd in general. I don't think about Todd in a bad way at all.
So you're saying you hate kettle corn, is what you're saying?
Oh, I actually do hate kettle corn in real life.
God.
It's I don't like it. I just don't.
Yeah, let's talk about kettle corn for the rest of the no. Quickly on Todd because this isn't related to this episode, but I really hate Todd. This is
I know you do.
So yeah, I'm in between you guys.
Yeah. So I mean, Todd's whole purpose of this character is he's a parody of pointless characters. But he's just a pointless character himself. And this asexual thing is the first interesting thing they've done with Todd in the entire show. That's my take on it. Literally, there's been nothing interesting before that happened.
You weren't interested in all about his relationship with Bojack, especially going into season 3? No?
I mean, it's fine. Again, in relation to other characters, is better, but that, not specifically.
Yeah, because I particularly liked him in that season because it went more into like his emotions going.
So yeah, I guess the fucking season 3 when he goes on that speech with Bojack. Okay, that's a good moment for him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had good moments and good arcs. It's just like right now, if he's, as we talked about in the speculation pod, if they're just going to keep him on these isolated plot lines, then I'm not interested. But if they get him to be involved, like for example, in the campaign with Mr. Peanut Butter, then there's a chance for hijinks that actually affect the plot and are funny at the same time.
Well, I'm interested again I'm also interested in the asexual stuff like you, Dylan, but I'm also interested in possibly like the trailer implied that he'd have a heavy influence on the possible Bojack's daughter character, and that could also be and that could be interesting and funny, but I'm also worried because that's not a very funny plot line from what I can expect from this show. So I'm curious to see how that plays out as well.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Let's talk Todd's asexuality plotline here because we get into some interesting stuff here, and of course, this is particularly of note to me and potentially this podcast. I think where one of the things we're known for is talking about socially progressive stuff on here. So, like when I was watching BoJack in season 1, just kind of amoral adult comedy show. Seasons 2 and 3 morphs into more of a socially progressive show. Like we get some pretty clear takes on like abortion in that episode, and then at the end of season 3 we get this reveal that Todd might be asexual, something we've potentially been building up to for a little bit. I wonder how much this was in the initial DNA of the Todd character, because I feel like there's no initial DNA of the Todd character, but we don't. Yeah, I'll try not to be biased against Todd here, but this is of particular note because there's basically zero asexual representation on television, and this is like going to be, I can imagine, very meaningful for people seeing this explored with Todd, and the show is making a commitment here to actually explore this with him. The thing we get into in this episode is like labels and him not him being hesitant to label himself. This is the type of thing I think a lot of shows that explore progressive issues get into. Like we get into, do we want to talk about labels or no labels? And it sometimes can be a little frustrating to have characters try to shirk labels when, labels are something that makes clear representation for people. But I think that we found a good balance here in exploring this with Emily and Todd being like, I think realistically for his character, he's gonna be like, is this me? Does this fit me? I don't even know. And then Emily's like, kind of, dickishly, like, you should call yourself asexual or something. And, probably a very controversial line from the episode is her saying, but I want a boyfriend who isn't asexual. And, I think we're going there, like, people's views of asexual people, like this is ace people, like this is, we're going here, we're exploring this in the show. I worry that we're going to like just approach like these topics. We're just going to bring them up and not actually get into it too much. Like we're getting into people viewing like ace people as like romantically undesirable, like Emily is here. The real world take on what Emily's saying here is that, of course, she's allowed to be with whatever person she wants to be, but saying it in this kind of blunt, somewhat discriminatory way is not, cool, I would say. But it's a very real take on how people might approach this in like necessarily maybe uninformed or unexposed people might approach it like this. So, I'm pretty happy with this, like 30 seconds in the diner, as I mentioned. I think it's like the highlight of the episode for me. I'm extremely intrigued that this like Bojack, like, so this sometimes slapsticky sitcom show, like is getting into ace issues, like where no other show on TV. Like, I haven't seen everything, but, this isn't like a frequently broached topic here. And, this can be very meaningful in terms of the larger progressive discourse and larger and meaningful representation for people. So yeah, I was really in on that. Very intrigued to see where we go next. And your Alex, cosign thoughts here on, how it was approached in this episode?
I agree with pretty much everything you said. You covered pretty much all of it. And Emily especially, it's a very nuance from a viewer perspective. This was it's from our perspective, it's like, yeah, she's saying something that's wrong, but the show is not saying she's right. They're saying she is being kind of a jerk. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of she doesn't understand how this works. And I think that's the way it came across to me. She doesn't understand how Todd feels about this in any way. And I hope we really explore that facet of it because as well as I really hope we explore Todd's. But I mean, I hope we do come back to this at least in another small scene later where we maybe try to not explain, but we see if Emily understands a little better what's going on, because that's an important part of this. We can't just, because if Todd understands himself, that doesn't mean anyone else does as well. And that could just lead to more hurt for him in the future. And I hope the show portrays that correctly and in a good way. And I think they will, because just that 30-second diner scene was great and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And like, of course, Emily can, want to be with someone who wants to be with her sexually, but at the same time, the way she says it, it's like, this kind of, discriminatory view that like asexual people like can't have sex or like don't have sex or something. And that's like not like Todd, like, could, getting fully into ace issues here. Like Todd, could, like, they could talk this out more and, and this is, Todd could do it for like her benefit or something, right? Like this is, and Emily's like, very dismissive of him as a potential partner without even,
it seems like she doesn't want to sit down and talk.
Right.
Like that's the part. She seems to sit down and talk with Todd about it because Todd wasn't ready to talk at the end of the season. In season 3, but now it feels like Todd's ready to talk about it, at least have a conversation. And it feels like Emily's just kind of, no, our last conversation, like, I'm ready to just cut this off. Like, and I feel like that's wrong. And I feel like they really just need to talk maybe not in the diner is not the right place to have this talk, but I mean, they should find a way to do it and talk about this and have a sense of understanding between them.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine this would be a hard topic for them to get into now when Todd is so like unsure of everything for himself. Yeah. So like, I think this is like a pretty realistic portrayal of what would happen in the situation. And I really think Todd just does need to sit down and talk to someone who like knows what they're talking about. And
hopefully not Bojack of all people.
I don't know. Bojack, I feel like Bojack could be one of the more Bojack at his best could be supportive.
Yes, but I don't think he's at his best.
Well,
right
yeah.
now. We haven't seen it.
Maybe him running with the horses is really good for him, and now he'll come back clear-headed now. But it's you know, I like this would be a great Bojack Todd moment if like they talked this part of Todd out. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love the show to continue down this direction and get even more depth into this. And also, yeah, I like keeping Emily around as well. I think this is interesting future direction. But then, of course, we send Todd off on a drone throne with kettle corn, and then he becomes governor for a second, and then other nonsense. So I don't know how optimistic I am, but
I don't think we're dropping off because he made a joke about the labels thing, and it was a joke, but it makes sure the viewer remembers this is still a thing. It's part of his character.
I did like how they tied it in with the I don't want to be governor because I don't like labels. Yeah, that was a good moment. Yeah. So, okay. So this interesting stuff we will potentially be tracking all season here. What else have we not talked about? Other characters. Judah is back. I've never really gotten anything out of this guy.
I've enjoyed him in past deadpan works well, especially in contrast to Princess Carolyn. But just in this episode, he's used very little. So yeah, nothing sticks out for me here.
There's one great line though, where I forget who calls him Rain Man Bun.
I think it was Katrina.
Yeah, calling him Rain Man Bun. Pretty great.
Yeah.
The encapsulation of his character. Pretty mean, but yeah. There you go for that. The beginning of this episode, we open up the cold open to the season with the origins of Mr. Peanut Butter's house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, kind of unrelated to anything else that happens. We see David Chase being the showrunner here, kind of briefly mentioned in a previous like gag, and then we get him here. I think it's not
completely unrelated. There is a thematic through line to the gubernatorial race.
Yeah, thematically related. My favorite part of this sequence is just that this show is initially titled the Untitled Horse and Around Knockoff.
Yeah. They're completely embracing it.
Yeah. Alex, what did you think of this, like, seeing the origins of Mr. Peanut Butter here?
Yeah, I think it's only interesting in the sense that it shows that Peanut Butter has always been like this, desiring to be liked, and just with the natural ability to do that, like he can just walk into a room and just connect with any audience. But because of his ability, he also always has that desire. And as far as we know, he doesn't really have the ability to turn that off. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes going into the rest of the season. And it's interesting that they choose that to highlight as the beginning of the entire season.
Yeah.
And it was, and I'm really excited because when you show a character like at the beginning like this, like a flashback, especially as the first scene of a season, it really implies to me at least that we're going to see a change in Mr. Peanut Butter at some point this season. And we're going to see some struggle with this person that he's been his whole life. And I'm interested to see that because we have not really seen any of that during the show, except maybe in the game show episode, we saw a little bit of the depth of him. But other than that, it's really been pretty surface level with Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah. I mean, we got backstory with his family.
But I mean, that was backstory for his character, like the character of him, but not his characterization.
Well, I think part of that was also like him needing to hide worries and anxieties because he has to put on this persona of always being happy around people. So that did contribute to that, and I think that might show up again later in the season. The fact that the pressures of the campaign, he's going to have to compartmentalize more and more, and there might come a breaking point at some point.
And I'd hope for that, because when you have a character who is covering things up, it's hard to tell when they're covering things up or when it's just the writer just forgot they wrote this plot and I don't think they did. I don't think in this show they did. I'm just saying in some shows you have characters like that and they just have an episode where they show this vulnerability and then they're like, oh, but they're always wearing a mask. We're never going to show underneath it again. And so it's good that it would be really good if we get a peek under that mask again. And well, not good. It's probably really bad for him and his relationship.
Good for our entertainment.
Yes, good for our entertainment.
Yeah, will be interesting to see where we take this. We had, just running through things I missed now, Diane working at Girl Crush. We see that briefly.
Yep.
Yeah, her piece on, like, refugee kids playing softball or whatever, kickball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good as Penis Outlines.
Yeah.
I think we made this joke last season, but yeah, there you go. We had a Ralph encapsulation line. We have could you, would you with the mouse, like their move-in talk.
My God.
Yeah, it is funny that we were thinking that had to do with pregnancy, and the end it just
I thought that had to do with sex.
You said sex, but in the end it just being, do you want to move in?
Yeah.
I didn't like later Ralph being like, and we could have kids, and that whole Ralph speech. So my take on that, it seemed very male centric, the Ralph speech at the end with Princess Caroline. And then it's also like, like having sex, and we're really good at it. Like, why do we need that? Like, what do we need they're really good at it from Ralph? Like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know.
I think it's just a reflection of their relationship. They've always seemed to be very playful with each other. And also, probably Princess Carolyn has expressed these desires in the past, assuming that they've been together for a while. So it could also be a sense of the man, in this case, like showing respect for the desires of the woman. And maybe he never, as far as we know, he doesn't have kids, and he's already pretty old. So the fact that at this age he's interested in having kids, but maybe that's because of Princess Carolyn, not because of himself.
Yeah, I don't feel connected
right now
to. I don't feel connected to this character at all. So and their relationship, I feel like they haven't been together very long in the show, and
I think the problem is that the show also does a lot of time jumps. Yeah. So like we don't see it very often, but for all we know, these people could have been together for 6 months.
Didn't they get together like towards the end of last season? Like.
Yeah, right. But there have been like 2 time jumps.
Like I don't care about Ralph or their relationship. Like you're giving me no reason, so I'm not invested in this. I don't care about his recounting anyway. More important stuff. We have FX's American Dead Girl miniseries.
Oh my God!
And they're doing.
I hope to God we don't see any of this in the show, because it'll be so depressing if we see it.
Yeah, they're doing the Sarah Lynn story, and they wanna cast a Bojack. Yeah. So there's our Sarah Lynn reference to the episode.
I did enjoy that, like, at first, because we didn't know about the miscarriage thing. At that point, I thought she was vomiting because of just the mention of Bojack Horseman. Like, that was...
Yeah.
But I did like that kind of misdirect.
Yeah. I hope we see it, because I just want any Sarah Lynn here. That's my biggest worry for the season, is no Sarah Lynn.
We're going to have like a VHS tape of her, and those are like the most depressing things ever, when you have like a tape of someone acting all happy when they're already dead.
Yeah. Or you get an actress to play, like get Setstina Aquafina to play Sarah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. But yeah, I just, no, I'm anything and to get Sarah Lynn back on the show. Like, let's do that. We have Paul Blart 3 Till Death Do Us Blart.
I've seen both those movies.
What?
They are...
Okay, I saw the first one.
The first one is legitimately funny, and I will stand by that till the day I die. But the second one is complete crap.
Also, I believe Till Death Do Us Blart is the name of a podcast. So,
is that true?
I'm pretty sure. I've heard the name before the show.
I'm looking it up right now.
We have the Princess Caroline says the transgender planes, trains, and automobiles reboot. Plans, trans, a man, a canal, Panama. That was an interesting joke. I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know if I'm missing something or if it's just a weird joke, but like.
Oh God, it's a real podcast.
Okay.
It's by the McElroy brothers.
Okay, I'm glad that's
you just watch Paul Blart Mall Cop, and that's every podcast.
So is it a reference to a real Paul Blart podcast? Interesting.
I guess. They just watch the movie over and over again, and that's each podcast, and they watch it with other people. Why would they ever do that?
Yeah. We'll listen to it after. Later in the episode, we have what's his name again? The Woodchuck's predecessors. He lists them off, and then played Mr. Freeze in a Batman movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Schwarzenegger reference. I feel like
But Schwarzenegger specifically ran for governor and played Mr. Freeze. So
that was
perfect.
That was are we? I don't know. Like that though. Is it too on the nose with our Schwarzenegger parody here?
Well, I don't think so, because I was expecting him just to say Schwarzenegger, and he just panned over to Mr. Freeze, and I just thought it was perfect, because it just fits the world so much that he's posed as Mr. Freeze in his portrait.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, it's California, so it's locationally relevant.
Locationally relevant. Yeah. What do we get? We talked about that. Yeah, I think we hit on everything here. Oh, so Mr. Peanut Butter at the end. So where's the candidate for regular schmoes like me who went to Northwestern? Yeah. When he says Woodchuck went to Dartmouth. Yeah. So that's, again, I feel like with that felt like an on-the-nose Trump parody, Trump line for me.
Yeah.
It's like Trump trying to represent the regular people when he is just like a New York elitist. Yeah.
And
or celebrities making themselves more relatable to the public.
Yeah. I guess works on both levels here. So there you go. That is the first episode. See Mr. Peanut Butter Run. Anything we missed, Alex?
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about the intro? The little change there with
what changed? What changed in the intro?
Well, like instead, like for the middle scene that always changed, it's like him having like kind of a drug trip sort of thing with seeing all the people he's kind of like had problems with in the past. Princess Carolyn, Herb His Ass, if Sarah Lynn is in there. So, and then it all just comes into a bubble of alcohol that drops into his cup.
Yeah.
So, interesting, especially since we don't see Bojack here. So, like, but it seems like a foreshadowing of things to come. Of is how he deals with his problems.
I viewed the intro more as like just a recap of what happened at the end of last season. Like he just had a drug trip and now he's gone. Like that's how I saw it. But it was a nice surprise to see it was different. I mean, I definitely watch the intro each time in this show now, and I usually regret it because the intro doesn't usually change, but sometimes it does, so I have to watch it every time. And this was a nice surprise, seeing at least a little bit of change in the intro and seeing that they are incorporating what happened last season into it.
Yeah. So yeah, I like usually skip the intro, but I watched this time and I did notice that change there. I think the most notable intro thing though is that Netflix has now added the skip intro button to Bojack episodes. So you can hit the skip intro button for this season of Bojack. That's Netflix's new technology that happened since last season. So it's been added.
It's great technology.
Yeah. Alex, anything else?
Altered ending theme. We got a Mr. Peanut Butter campaign song.
Okay.
No? Anybody was hyped for that? No?
It was similar, right?
It was very similar.
I'm your governor, Mr. Peanut Butter Man. I'm tasty and good looking, because that's just who I am. Go vote. There. So there was probably other parts of that song, but that's the only part that stuck out.
That was a good recounting of it. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, anything else there?
I just like the ending themes whenever they change.
Yeah. Andy, any other topics?
Not that I can think of. There was just so much. I think we covered all of it. Oh, the drone throne. Like everyone arguing about it. I thought that was probably the stupidest joke of the entire episode.
It can't be a drone, yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, can we just move on? I'm over this joke. Like I was over it like after the second time you said it.
Yeah, I feel like that's why we say unmanned drone in real life, because there are drones that are manned, right? Like I didn't get that joke at all.
No. We don't have manned drones. Unmanned drone is just like a political term. They just do that just to like emphasize that there's no one, even though they're still controlled by people.
Okay, we don't.
My entire life is a lie.
Okay, we don't need to get into this. So
yeah, we don't get into this.
There you go.
But...
So that joke was made for people like me who didn't know the difference.
I don't think so. So Alex, what are your final thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, like you said, it's not an impressive episode by Bojack standards, but it hits all the points that we're interested in going into the season. Besides Bojack, so yeah, it serves well as an introduction. On its in a vacuum, the episode isn't that great, but yeah, lots of gags, lots of wordplay, standard Bojack.
I feel like Bojack's kid was the thing I was most interested in going into this.
That's also a plotline we haven't touched yet.
I'm really interested in
Andy,
that.
what are your...
I'm just really interested in the campaign. I don't know, but I'm interested to see what happens to Peanut Butter here.
Okay, nice.
I'm more interested to see about their marriage than anything else, but that is tied into the campaign.
Yeah, definitely tied in this episode. Yeah, closing thoughts, Andy?
I think I'm a little higher on this episode than you guys, but that's because I haven't watched Bojack. I think the longest of you guys. Like I watched season 3 when it came out, and then I have not watched it since. And this was a nice jumping off point to get me back into the show. And maybe I'll be a little more down on it after seeing the rest of the season, but right now I'm just like, yep, it's Bojack, it's back. I'm ready for more.
Yeah, ready for more. So we will be covering the rest of season 4 of Bojack. Stick with us here at Overly Animated. Subscribe to our Bojack specific iTunes feed or our main feed to keep up with our Bojack podcast. Overlyanimated.com for all of that. We'll next be covering some combination of the next 2 episodes. Episode 2, The Old Sugar Man Place. Interesting. And so I'll be watching that soon as well. Yeah, I said check us out, overlyanimated.com. We have a bunch of other animation stuff coming up, including Rick and Morty podcasts twice a week. So if you like Bojack, maybe you'll like Rick and Morty, and you can listen to our Rick and Morty podcast as well there. Consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Ryan, aka Brian. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. We'll be back with more Bojack, with getting some other hosts and co-hosts in here, some more fresh takes on the season and all of our other stuff at overlyanimated.com. Let us know what you thought of our discussion here. And if you want to support our Bojack reviews, definitely our Bojack podcast, you can definitely leave us an iTunes review at overlyanimated.com/iTunes or on our Bojack specific feed. That would help us a lot. So, thank you guys very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.